my experience of moving from Django to Pyramid. I have been using Django since 2010. Then it was Django 1.2 and now we have Django 1.8 now. So and so I have been doing web development mostly using Python since 2010, and last year I decided to switch to Pyramid after looking into Flask and Pyramid and other frameworks. So I will talk about that. So how many of you have used Django before? And how many of you love Django? I think everyone loves Django, right? Who hates Django? Why?
You don't explain why.
Okay. Nahi, so this is not a talk where I am going to like.
It's too huge. It has too many.
Okay. So I will start with क्या हुआ भाई इसको? Internet. Okay, so Django is awesome. You can, if you use some open source projects which help you get started with Django really well, like there is a cookie cutter for Django, and if you start your project from the cookie cutter, then you are following almost all the best practices which are being followed at Heroku and other companies. And if you use Django, then it will save a lot of your time. So Django's tagline is web framework for perfectionists with deadline. And there are so many packages and so many people are out there to help you. I have answered questions on Stack Overflow and I was active on Django users once upon a time. And I used to answer questions mostly asked by Indians, because some of them are not able to phrase questions correctly. So I have added people on Gtalk and helped them out in the past. And I have made 3-4 Django developers and made them in person also from the mailing list and IRC and other places. So Django community is really very nice, and if you want to create something really quick and follow the best guideline, have a good admin interface and write good code, then Django is going to help you. But after working with Django for 3-4 years, I wanted, and I have read the source code of Django, and I have, to answer questions on Stack Overflow, I used to dive into the source code of Django to know how this has been implemented. And when I decided to move to Pyramid, I knew I am going to miss some parts of Django. There are many good things which Django does, due to which it is very easy to write apps. But again, if you want to replace some parts of Django and retain the goodness, then it may be painful for you. So Django has chain defaults, batteries are included, you have admin, authentication. If you define the models correctly, then you will have model forms and class-based views working for you. And there are other good things like signals and events. But everything in Django depends on the ORM. And Django ORM is not the best thing out there in Python. There is SQL Alchemy to deal with relational databases. And as far as ORM is concerned, then SQL Alchemy is the best, I guess. And if you have to write complex queries, then Django can be painful. And if you are making a web application where request response cycle is not everything, you have to do some data processing, do some analytics on that relational database, then Django ORM can be painful sometimes. As soon as you, suppose I have to create a Django website and I don't want to use their admin and I don't want to use the templating engine, I want to use Jinja 2, or I want to write my own authentication, then if you start replacing the core parts which are there in Contrib, then it can be really painful. And it does not mean that Django is bad. Django is a good framework for more than 90% of the websites. But there are some 5-10% cases where if you use Django, then after 6 months, after 1 year, it can be problem. In our case, we have to develop some internal tools and internal tools for different teams. And we know that the support of the app for each team is not going to be like, if I have developed some app for, let us say, our operations team and one for the sales team, then maybe the next iteration of the sales team app will happen after 6 months. And if I develop everything as a single Django website, then there will be some code sitting as an app and I will have to maintain it. And if I am doing some bug fixes for other things and everything is linked, then it can be painful. So what I decided I will deploy each app separately. Like there will be one separate app for, let us say, operations team, one for sales team, one for the content team, and all of them will talk to each other using RESTful APIs. So in that case, now I want to have a custom, let us say, so if you log into Google, to use each app you have to log in through accounts.google.com. So there is a one single app which manages all the user credentials. Password is stored at only one app, accounts.google.com. Gmail does not know your password. So Google internally uses OAuth for all their apps. So I wanted to do similar things in my case. And I wanted to create more advanced admin interfaces. So Django admin is, you can customize Django admin, but after a point, suppose you want to use Angular for the admin part, then you have to write your own views with super user right and staff and all that. So if you remove the good parts of Django, then you don't need Django anymore. Now you can go ahead with Flask, some bare minimal thing which is there to take care of the request response cycle, and then you can write your own models in SQL Alchemy. You can use Jinja too, and there are many libraries out there to replace each part of Django. But so there is Flask, there is Django, there is Pyramid, there are other frameworks like Bottle is there, and Flask is a micro framework, Django is a full stack framework, and Pyramid lies somewhere in between. It has some features and which are like applicable for the most cases. So it has some features to support authentication, but it does not have a default user model. And if you want to use the authentication, you have to define your own user model and link it with the functions or API provided by Pyramid. So getting started with some framework like Pyramid, if you want to make a working app, so suppose you have done web development using Django and you know I get login, I get user login, I can easily build APIs, RESTful APIs, there are forms to handle the post data and things like that. And if you have worked on a complex app and if you want to make similar thing in Flask or Pyramid or anything which is not as monolithic as Django, then there are some things which are going to go wrong, like you will make mistakes. So my first two Pyramid apps were horrible. Like I write really good Django code, but my first two Pyramid apps were really, really bad. So I am going to talk about some of the mistakes which I have made in last 1 year. So if you switch to something like Flask or Pyramid, then you have to think, then you can't Google search how to do X in Django, like how to do X in Pyramid. Now you have to search for how to do X in Python. For example, if I am going to write my own user model, then I have to save the password. Then I will search what is the best Python library out there to do password management. Now, and I can't search how to implement authentication in Pyramid, because if I am trying to open everything, then better opt for the small libraries written for everything. So there is a library called Passleaf which can be used for password management, and it follows the best practices. And similarly, small things are there. Like if I have to store the sessions, Django by default stores in the database, and I want to use Redis, then I have to do Google search how to do things in Redis. And if you are expecting something this is part of the web framework, this should be part of the web framework, then you should do Google search for how to do this thing in Pyramid or Flask. Otherwise, you have to mostly search for how to do X in Python. So we deal with lot of Excel files, we generate textbooks using LaTeX, and we do many things beyond request response cycle. So in the beginning, some of the developers in my team were asking how to publish books using Django. So Django does not allow you to publish books. You have to figure out something of your own in Python and then integrate it with the request response cycle, and then you will have a working app. So this is one change which will be required, and you should be ready to write lot of custom code. And because batteries are no more included, if you want admin interface, you left Django because you did not want, you wanted much more than CRUD, no? And if you search for solutions, then default admin interfaces in Flask and Pyramid or anywhere are just CRUD operations, and they are not as powerful as Django. So if you want similar power as compared to Django, then you have to write some custom code. So one of the mistakes which I made was with SQL Alchemy. So by default in SQL Alchemy, if I have to search a user by username, then I have to type this much. There is a DB session, database session, dot query, user, filter by, and this. And in Django, you have to just do user.objects.filter, username is equal to this dot one. And if you write some custom code in your base model of SQL Alchemy, then it can be like any class dot get one and pass the attributes as key value pair, and it will work for you. But that the last line, to get the last line, I had to write some custom methods in my base model. So the goodies which you get with Django, you have to implement some of those. So for example, in our case, I had to implement a single sign-on service, auth.examcheck.com, and I was using Pyramid, and there is not lot of work done by Pyramid community for implementing OAuth 2 server, and there is a really good Django project for implementing OAuth 2 server. Then I went and cloned the repo, and I went through the source code. So if you understand the HTTP protocol, if you understand the WSGI layer, if you understand how everything is linked, you understand all the parts of a web framework, then implementing something which is like out there in Django and replicating that in Flask or Pyramid is not going to be very difficult. So there is some query which is being done using Django ORM. Now I have to replace that and use SQL Alchemy. There is something which Django is going to, that library is going to store in the session. I have to do that in Pyramid in whatever way I am doing. But if something is not there in Flask and it's there in Django and it's not huge, and if you really need it, even if it's huge, you will need to customize it. So there are not many open source projects. Many companies use Pyramid. So that is one reality, and they don't publish their code on GitHub because it's very hard to develop reusable code in case of Flask or Pyramid. In Django, you have to just write a pluggable app, and anyone can just install it and add it in their settings.py, and it will work. So pluggable apps are possible in Django because of the fact that Django makes lot of opinions. This is how a web framework should work. This is how all the apps should work. There is always going to be a user model. Auth_user will be the setting in settings.py, and if you are overriding, you have to provide that setting. So if you are integrating it with some Django, if you are installing some third-party Django package, it already knows key database settings is going to be there, and everything like session is going to be there. It has to just implement the middlewares, and you have to include some settings. But in case of Pyramid or Flask, you will have to write many things at your own. So first, in Django also uses database sessions. So if you are querying from the database, you have to use a session, but you don't need to know about it if you are using Django, because you don't need to deal with the session object directly. But in the background, Django ORM does that for you. But SQL Alchemy is very verbose. It will say कि use the database session, DB session, and pass the model, and you will get a query object, and you do some query operations, and then get the result. But Django, so user.objects is a object manager in Django, and it handles the session for you. So, and if you do, and if you suppose you query a user like this in Django, you get some user and you update the password, and you do user.save. The change gets persisted in the database, and you don't need to worry about the transactions and things like that. So in case of Django, the transaction middleware is enabled by default. For each request, a new transaction will start and transaction will end after the request has finished. And if you are using manage.py shell, Django shell in terminal, then all the lines are, whenever you execute some Python code, a transaction is committed. Like a transaction will begin before that line is executed, and it will finish after that line has executed. But in case of, if you are using SQL Alchemy, then now you need to know about the session. You need to know the difference between flush and commit. You need to know how transactions work. So in my case, what I did, I wrote with transaction.manager everywhere in my code. But instead of that, I should have included pyramid transaction manager, and it will automatically manage the whole transaction. A new transaction will begin when a request comes, and transaction will be committed to the database when the request gets finished. But what happens in Django, if you create a new object in the database, then you get the ID immediately. And for that, something must be going in the database. The database is giving you the primary key and all that. For that, Django uses the flush operations. And if you flush and you abort, then flush is temporary save point in the database. I did not know about that, so even after 11 months, I was writing with transaction.manager. And I was the single developer in my startup for more than 15 months. So no one was there to ask me questions why have you written this code. So when I hired 4 other developers, then I had to answer things like why do we have with transaction.manager everywhere. Then I did some Google search, went through the documentation, and wrote some custom code in base model to user.save. I implemented user. The save, create, delete, all the methods. I opened the Django source code, and I implemented all the methods implemented in the base model of Django. So after I did that, then I realized now I can produce a working app in 2 days, and I don't need to worry about the transaction and flush and commit and everything. That is there in my base model, and I can just use the .save method, .delete method, and my code will be much cleaner. And some other mistakes which I have made, I switched from Django template to Jinja 2, and now Jinja 2 has some really good features, like Jinja 2 macros are out there. So, and I was not utilizing that power. So I have sacrificed something for something more, and I am even after switching, I am searching for Django was doing this and how to do this in the Jinja 2. But Jinja 2 may have some better features to manage my code. And then Django has forms, and in form you have simple form and you have model form also. Model form will automatically attach to the model object, and so for that also I had to write some custom classes on top of WT forms. And so I was planning to complete a app in Pyramid that has not been completed. So when you go to Django project documentation, you get a 7-step tutorial on how to implement a polling app in Django. So I was trying to finish that. Once that is done, that should be done by next week. I will put the URL, the GitHub URL in the issue which I have created on the GitHub page for this talk. And so getting authentication right is difficult. Yes. So, like whenever we talk about authentication, there are things like which there are things which Django does for you. For example, managing the password using the latest publicly available hashing algorithm, using the latest best practices to manage the password, and managing the tokens. Like whenever you say ki send a reset password email, then you get a token. That token gets invalidated. And if you go and implement that at your own, chances are ki you will make some mistakes. Django has it, Django has made its own share of mistakes in last 10 years. And if you are going to implement everything from scratch, then you are going to make your own mistakes. So what I do ki I open the Django source code like whenever I get free time, and I read the source code. And if there are like really good third party packages in Django, I will clone their source code also and read it. And based on the learning, you can write much better code. So instead, if you are trying to implement some core part which involves some security also, and you know ki this is out there in Django or this is out there in some other framework. Like so there are some things which Ruby on Rails has done really well, but Django has not done that well. And if I'm using Pyramid, then I can implement that thing at my own. So then I will have to go and read the source code of Ruby on Rails, that part. So if you read lot of open source code, then these frameworks will not be very painful. You can easily learn from like open source projects like Django. So the good open source projects have really good documentation, and their developers are also very nice. If you write them email, ask them on Twitter, they are ready to help you. And so if you have answer like we have this feature in Django, how do you do it in Flask or Pyramid? I can answer those. Then.
So how did you implement your SSO in Ruby?
How did I implement?
The SSO on Pyramid.
Yes, yes.
The single sign-on.
Single sign-on. So I implemented a OAuth server, and so I have a auth project like exam check auth, and it is a OAuth client for Google. We support Google sign login with Google, and all our other apps are integrated with OAuth 2 API. So I implemented a OAuth 2 server. You like after copying the source code from Django, which I need to open source, and then
What is, how is the implementation different from Django and Ruby? Basically,
now
various
it's
APIs.
same. It's same. Like Django OAuth 2 implementation is same. I have implemented whatever features are out there in Django OAuth 2. So there is a library called OAuth lib, and everyone uses that. That is the most popular library.
You implemented a client or did you implement a
I implemented a server as well as the client.
okay, so
So,
that's what I'm asking. How do you implement the server side?
so there is a project called OAuth lib, and OAuth lib is used by Flask. There is a OAuth 2 server for Flask also that uses OAuth lib. There are OAuth 2 clients which use OAuth lib, and Django OAuth 2 also uses OAuth lib. So I was pretty sure that I'm going to use OAuth lib, and so I just went through their source code and implemented bit by bit. I have not figured out the caching. So we are moving to a microservices architecture in 2-3 months, like implement individual apps and they will talk to each other via some API. So that is why I decided to switch to Pyramid. So I knew that after 1 year or 1.5 years, when we scale up, we will need that microservices thing.
One of the reasons we moved from Django was also because we started to do
And I wanted to make the mistakes in a Pyramid monolith instead of making the mistakes in the microservices. Like if we make these mistakes, like we are not able to write good code for database queries, transactions, and all that. And if we make those mistakes in microservices architecture, then bad code will be there everywhere.
so, considering that you have read a lot of Django code, what are
I love contrib.auth. So pieces I love the content types, then contrib.content types, and then admin, and I love how beautifully ORM and model and form and class-based views are linked together. So I have not contributed to Django. That is the sad part.
What about asset management?
Asset management. There is a web.
Earlier,
I was using Django compressor. Compressor is the project, right?
so one of the other things that I didn't like in Django, because I left using Django around 1.3, 1.4,
Huh.
and at that time there was no asset
So
pipeline for Django.
there is a really good third-party package, Django compressor. No, and there is a independent Python project which is not part of any framework called Web Assets, and there is an integration called Pyramid Web Assets. We use that. So that is what I was saying. You have.
Pyramid has an asset pipeline. At that time Django did not. So one of the reasons.
Okay. And Pyramid has some really good parts. Some of them I have not explored. One is, so in Django you map the URLs to views using URL patterns. You specify the pattern and then you specify the view function or class, whatever it is, and then it will register that code with your URL. Pyramid has two ways. One is called URL dispatch, which is similar to Django, and another is called traversal. It has then it has some logic, like there is a resource, parent resource, then there is a child resource. You can have nested resources. The implementation is supposed to be really good, the algorithm of that, but I have not been able to use that feature. And one thing which I miss, and I have not figured out how to do that well in Pyramid, is you can nest the URLs. Like there is a project level URLs.py, and then you nest the URLs. Now, so nesting include URLs, that thing. You can include URL patterns easily in.
You can do that in Django also.
So using configurator you can do that. No,
Yeah.
but I think Django's way of handling URL patterns follow is much cleaner. Personal opinion. And हाँ एक और, this .ini may, if you during the deployment, if you have to do a lot of custom things, then .ini is not the good way. Like loading things from environment, running some custom Python code before bootstrapping and all stuff. Are you?
So you're saying that having settings.
Well, I have not figured it out. I am not saying it is bad.
So you're saying that having settings in Python is much easier than having it
In Django, people have figured out how to deploy it easily on cloud.
That's one more thing with Django, right? It's in Python, so the definition of settings
Haan.
is very. I mean, you can do too much sometimes. In case of Django,
I have copied the way
all the things that you can do in Python inside the settings file.
So I always include a settings module in my Pyramid projects because I love that aspect of Django. And Django mein middlewares, the way middlewares get loaded top to bottom and bottom to top. Request is. Others are not asking. हाँ ठीक है. Anyone else? Questions? No more questions.
No questions.
ठीक है. Thank you.